Boyfriend of 5 years broke up with me over text while living in the same house. I am not oop is you a positive rest 6444. Originally posted to R Cole Dinner Diaries editor context from previous posts. BF is 23, oop is 21 original post, June 6, 2026 DS claimer. This is a lot to read, but it's worth it. And had to post again. 2 days ago, I got a text from my boyfriend who was upstairs in Chkan, but Tet. Me being in the headspace I was begging him to have a conversation with me in person about this. All I wanted was for him to open his door and let me know what even happened. But this dude hid in his room and ignored every text I sent for over an hour. He finally answered and said, "I don't think we're compatible," along with "I don't think this is working out for us anymore." Every message sent started with "I don't think." Like what? At this point, I have chai of cave. He proceeded to ignore me for another 30 minutes. His final text he sent me that night was, I think, trying to be an a-hole. You know what? Fine. So I went to my mom's and SOB bid at my mom's place. I cried for a good 30-40 minutes. Then I just stopped crying. I ended up being significant other mad over the situation. 5 years and you broke up with me over text, hindayam. My mom was just as confused as I was. I be debated apart my mom on the dabt, but at night died the died fight. I went back to our shared place and spent the night there. My friend ended up calling me and was just as dumbfounded as I was. She never liked him that much, but understood him and I's relationship dynamic. I think if she didn't call me that night, I would have not felt the way I do now. She described our relationship in an outside view perspective, and oh my God, what have I been dealing with for so long? Now, I'm not saying I was perfect. I started fights sometimes and nagged over certain issues, and there was a point in our relationship where I was on the fence whether I should break up with him, but I will divulge in the specifics later on in these paragraphs. The following day, we didn't speak at all. I had the whole place to myself while he was at work. I took that time to look for places for me to move into, thought more about our relationship, and just got even more pissed over the situation. Once he came home from work, he went straight into his room and turned on the shower at 7:40 p.m. This is an important detail. I texted him at 10:23 p.m. after being ignored all day that we needed to have an in-person conversation tomorrow. His shower is still running 3 hours later, and he ignored me the rest of the night. Yesterday morning, I went downstairs to my kitchen and waited for him to come downstairs before he went to work so I can confront him about ignoring me. I stood in the kitchen for about 15 minutes before he came down. I said, "Why have you been ignoring me?" at a nice tone, despite how I was feeling. Yet, I was met with such attitude from him, he said, "I have to go to work, bro. I don't have time for this." Understandable. He had to go to work. I wasn't expecting him to have that conversation with me right then and there. But the attitude, he broke up with me over text, bro. Why do you have an attitude with me right then and there? But the attitude, he broke up with me over text, bro. Why do you have an attitude with me? That pissed me. So I took that annoyance and found myself a 1-bed, 1-bath in the same complex we are living in right now, just because I love the area, it's nice and quiet, and I wouldn't have to move far. I obviously would prefer to move out of this town, but nothing is available for a decent price nowadays. I also ended up writing a text that I would send to him if he couldn't speak to me face-to-face that night. And then I just waited. He gets off at 7:20, 7:20 every day. He didn't come back until 4:40. He didn't height, he did not. I waited an hour to text him if we could talk after his shower. Shower is still currently running. This was the text chain, verbatim. Hin. I just can't I chit. I da oda that anyway. I text died on it hut. It tai tug a toe, for they viden the meat and pie cap left I cup to tie couple of like I get it from 5 goodbye shift and befiley. You're the one who broke up with Emmy over text. Anyway, bide. I talk hawk mal's dust my cat hot chat. Eyes. I got a full the move cast of word so I of cut of caught bird also might cut by each stable like caught even. But to not be able to have a face-to-face conversation with me after 5 years of being together, that is so disrespectful. Now let me tell you all I have done for this man. He is not a clean person. Even before we lived together, I would have to pick up his room at his mom's place because he wouldn't do it by his own will. His trash can-esque is the floor under his desk. He would throw his trash on the floor and leave it there for weeks, enough to the point where it piled up almost to the height of his desk. I gave him trash bags to incentivize him to throw it away, but somehow that trash bag ended up in a random corner of his room. His dirty laundry is always all over the floor. I even gave him one of my extra-large laundry baskets to help him out. But clearly that never worked. He would sleep on his mattress without sheets for weeks if I didn't make his bed. One day, I spent over 9 hours doing all of his laundry and putting it away for him, reorganizing his drawers, his closet, where he keeps his towels, and not even a week later where I have had to scrub his toilet, shower, sink, and floor because somehow there was pee everywhere. Back to the shower point, he would run his shower for hours, enough to where the paint has completely peeled in his bathroom from all the moisture. He would fall asleep on the toilet or bathroom floor. No matter how many times I told him to not run the shower for that long, he still did it anyway. Now, before I go further, I have acted. I am a very neat person. I am not perfect. I sometimes leave a pile of clean clothes on my floor that I'm too lazy to put away for about a week, or have empty Monster cans on my desk. Sometimes I don't do the dishes for about a week because I forgot about them, but I always ended up cleaning it up without being told. I spent the past 1.5 years of my life cleaning up after him, trying to help him manage his money better and get him into good habits. I was his mommy. Yes, he took care of me financially, but you croup. I should have had a tit-tap. I have 2 cats. Why would I want them to possibly get into the trash on your floor and get sick? One time I went on vacation for a week. I came back to the place smelling like shit. Why? Because since I wasn't there was an insane amount of trash on his floor, smelling up the entire place. This led me to not want my mom to ever come over. She came to our place maybe 2 times out of the 1.5 years. I was living here. My mom is my best friend. We have a very close relationship. A fact I was too embarrassed to have her tell pout. Despite the cleanly situation, he would never spend time with me. There was a point in time for about 3 to 4 months where he was never home until late at night getting high with his friends, and then hopping on games with them right when he got back. I game a lot, so I have no issue with the fact he would play games. It's just that he would never make time to play with me. He would spend maybe 5 minutes with me in total every day. It was absolute hell. I would tell him about it, and it was a fight every time during that period. It would had its state. And his excuse was my friend and his girlfriend haven't had sex in a year. Am I your friend? Am I his girlfriend? No, I'm not even sure how that correlates. Now I am not putting the blame all on him for the duration of our relationship. I dealt with a lot of stuff for so long that there was always resentment and issues. During the time he wouldn't spend time with me, I picked fights, just I could get an ounce of attention even if it was negative. I sometimes wouldn't speak to him for a whole day, Murdoch. There are plenty of things I did wrong, but I believe it all comes from a place of reason, whether he sees it or not. Another thing was promises. I told him when we first got together that promises and pinky promises are held to the highest standard with me. If you promise me something, you have to follow through with it. If you can't do that, then don't promise me. Then promise me. He would break promises constantly. Drop your verdict in the comments. Wait, what?